Welcome back, everybody. We're diving into a story that's been told and retold for centuries, Adam and Eve. But we're going to look at it in a way you might not have heard before. We're going through the lens of the Baha'i faith.
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective.
So get ready, Garden of Eden, forbidden fruit, it's all there. But the Baha'i faith, they see it as a metaphor, something deeper.
Yeah. One of the really interesting things about their perspective is they don't necessarily see Adam as the first human. They acknowledge a really long history for humanity, going back like millions of years.
Whoa, hold on. So there were people before Adam, entire civilizations. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it's something that the Baha'i teachings are totally open to. They even say there might have been other prophets, other messengers from God guiding those early civilizations.
Wow. Okay, my mind is officially blown. So if Adam wasn't the first human, then why is his story so important? How does he fit into all of this?
Well, Adam is still a super important figure in the Baha'i faith. They see him as a manifestation of God, a prophet with a very specific role. But he's just one part of a much bigger story, this ongoing process of, revelation that's been happening throughout history.
Okay, I have to admit, when you say manifestation of God, I'm not sure I totally get it. Can you explain?
Sure. So it's a really important concept in the Baha'i faith. Imagine that the essence of God is like this infinite light, and manifestations are like these perfectly polished mirrors, and they reflect that light in a way that we humans can actually understand. They're like these channels of divine knowledge, and they show up at different points in history to guide humanity.
Ah, I see. So each manifestation, like Adam, is bringing a message that's tailored for their time.
Exactly. And each one builds on the teachings of the ones that came before.
Yeah.
So it's like they're slowly revealing more and more about God's will and what our purpose is.
Got it. Okay, so Adam is one of these messengers, but his story isn't really about literally creating the first humans. It's more about what exactly?
It's about how human consciousness evolved, like how we went from this state of spiritual innocence to, awareness, knowledge, and choice.
You mean like the whole fall from grace thing, but that's seen as a bad thing in the traditional version, right? Original sin and all.
Right, but that's where the Baha'i interpretation gets really interesting. They don't see the fall as punishment, but as a necessary step forward.
Really? So it's not about disobeying God?
No, not at all. It's about humanity developing consciousness, free will, the ability to learn, grow, and make our own choices. It's a crucial step in our spiritual evolution.
Whoa, that totally changes things. So it's not about getting kicked out of paradise for messing up. It's more like we were given this key to a whole new level of existence. But why was that so important?
Because with free will comes responsibility. We get to choose between right and wrong and learn from our mistakes. And we can work towards spiritual growth. That's what sets us apart, That's how we can reach our full potential.
This is really making me rethink everything I thought I knew about Adam and Eve. Okay, so what about the forbidden fruit? What's that all about in this interpretation?
It's a really powerful symbol. The Baha'i view is that the forbidden fruit represents knowledge, the desire to understand things, like the awakening of consciousness.
So eating the fruit wasn't about defying God. It was about trying to learn to understand ourselves and the world better.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really important to note that Eve has a huge role in this. In a lot of the traditional versions of the story, she's portrayed as a temptress, the one who leads everyone astray.
Oh, yeah, I remember those Sunday school lessons. Eve gets a lot of blame.
But the Baha'i faith is totally against that idea.
Right.
They really emphasize the equality of men and women. And they see Eve as an equal partner in this journey of spiritual discovery.
So she's not the bad guy in this version?
No, not at all. Her choice to eat the fruit shows how much humanity wanted knowledge and was willing to take on the challenges that came with it.
I really like how this interpretation gives Eve power. It's not about one person tempting another. It's a shared experience, like this leap forward that we all took together. So where does the story go from there? How does this tie into the whole big picture of our relationship with God?
That's where progressive revelation comes in. The Baha'i faith believes that God's guidance isn't just this one-time thing, but an ongoing process that's happening throughout history.
Oh, interesting. So it's like this conversation between us and the divine. God's not just giving us a rule book and saying good luck.
Exactly. It's a relationship that's always changing, always evolving. And Adam is just one chapter in this much larger story. Think about other figures like Krishna, Buddha, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad. They're all manifestations of God, and each one brought new insights and guidance to their time.
So each messenger is like a new verse in this epic poem, and each one is building on what came before.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Each one is a reflection of the specific needs and capabilities of their time, and they guide humanity toward better understanding and unity.
This is really mind-blowing stuff. The story of Adam and Eve isn't just some isolated event from way back when. It's connected to this much bigger story, this incredible journey of spiritual discovery. And we're all a part of it, right?
Absolutely. We're all contributing to it, even if we don't realize it. And this brings up a big question. What does this all mean for us today? How do we actually apply these Baha'i teachings to our own lives?
That's a great question. It's fascinating to think about these ancient prophets and civilizations, but how does this wisdom apply to our modern world?
Well, one of the most important things we can take away from this is the idea that challenges are not punishments. They're opportunities to grow. Like Adam and Eve's fall wasn't a bad thing, it was actually a step forward. And the same thing is true for us. The challenges we face in life can help us grow spiritually.
So instead of asking why me when something bad happens, we can choose to see it as a chance to learn and grow.
Yeah, exactly. It's super empowering. It means we get to decide how our spiritual journey goes. We're not just victims of fate. We're active participants in this whole grand drama of existence.
I like that. So it's like reframing these falls in our lives as chances to get back up stronger and wiser than before, and knowing that we're all part of something so much bigger, something that's been happening for centuries. That's pretty awe-inspiring.
It is. And it makes you wonder, if Adam wasn't the first prophet, what were those earlier teachings like?
Right. What did those lost civilizations know? What did they understand about God, the universe, and what it means to be human? It's wild to think about all the stuff that's been lost over time.
Yeah, it shows how vast and mysterious human history really is.
Yeah.
And it reminds us how important it is to learn from all the different cultures and spiritual traditions that are still around today, and to preserve them.
It makes you think about all the other stories that are out there waiting to be discovered, all the perspectives that we might be missing.
And that's the great thing about how the Baha'i faith looks at these stories. They don't claim to have all the answers. They want us to keep exploring, keep thinking critically, and be open to the possibility that there's always more to learn, more revelation coming.
So it's not about dogma, but about searching for truth.
Exactly. And it's a search that involves embracing all the different human experiences and learning from the many ways people have connected with the divine throughout history. It really is. It really gets to the heart of the Baha'i faith, this emphasis on unity and harmony and the oneness of humanity, recognizing that we all come from the same place and, we need to work together to create a better future.
And that message feels super important now. The world seems so divided. This idea that we can all learn from each other, that there's wisdom in all the different ways people have tried to find meaning and purpose. It gives me hope,
Yeah, it really does. And it encourages us to look at our own spiritual journeys with a bit of humility, to be open to learning from people who are different than us, to realize that none of us have all the answers.
So it's about seeing the beauty and the wisdom in our differences instead of letting them divide us.
Right. And understanding that those differences actually help us understand the divine.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. It's like the story of Adam and Eve isn't just some old myth. It's still happening. We're all writing our own chapters, adding our own verses to this, giant story of spiritual evolution.
And who knows what amazing discoveries are still out there. What we'll learn as we keep exploring and growing together.
I think we've just barely scratched the surface of this today, but I hope this deep dive gave you a new way of looking at Adam and Eve. And maybe it made you a little curious about the Baha'i faith and its perspective on spirituality and, where we fit in.
It's definitely a journey worth taking.
It is. So keep your minds open, keep exploring, keep asking the big questions. Until next time, happy diving.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? We're like a small part of this huge interconnected tapestry, human experience, going back thousands of years. And this search for understanding, for connection with something bigger than ourselves, it's something we all share across time, across cultures.
It's a powerful thought. And, today, especially when everything feels so divided, it's really hopeful to remember that we can learn from each other, that there's wisdom in all the ways humanity has searched for meaning and purpose.
For sure. And it makes you realize we need to approach our own spiritual journey with humility, right? And be open, be willing to learn from people who are different from us.
So recognizing the beauty and wisdom in our differences, not letting them divide us.
Yeah, exactly. And understanding that our differences can actually make our understanding of the divine richer. not take away from it.
I've learned so much today. It's like the story of Adam and Eve isn't just some ancient story. It's still going on. We're all a part of it, writing our own chapters, adding to this incredible story of spiritual evolution.
And who knows what amazing things we'll discover as we keep exploring and learning together.
Well, we've only just scratched the surface today, but hopefully this deep dive has given you a new way to think about the Adam and Eve story. Maybe even sparked your interest in learning more about the Baha'i faith and its perspective on spirituality and our place in the world.
Definitely worth checking out.
It is. So keep those minds open, keep exploring, keep asking the big questions. And until next time, happy diving, everyone.